So hi, I am Divanshu Agarwal and I am going to demonstrate how to create a continuous integration pipeline using Jenkins. So Jenkins is a CI/CD delivery tool and it is one of the best in class. It uses a master-slave architecture in which the build server is the master server and which has many slave nodes, and it is also used to distribute builds in order to distribute load among different slave nodes. So the slave nodes, they process different chunks of the file and give a build in less computational form. So I have already started my Jenkins server using the var file provided by Jenkins, and I'll putting in my credentials. So I have already customized Jenkins according to my needs. I have installed plugins for Maven. The app which I am going to build today is an app which is using Java, and it uses Maven for build automation. So uh, Jenkins uses plugins in order to customize according to the needs of the developer. So I have installed. So I've already installed Blue Ocean plugin, and GitHub. I have also installed Git plugin in order so that Jenkins can look at the repository, and whenever there is a change or a commit that is pushed by the developer, Jenkins automatically starts the build process. So as we know, security is one of the important requirements for any product to protect information and avoid executing malicious code. So Jenkins also provide the developer to tangle with the security according to his need. It provides authentication, authorization, and accounting. So in the global security feature, like I have put all the administrator to admin, which is the one user, and another user is Divanshu. So these two users have been provided administrator privileges, and they can perform all the tasks which are present here, like read, create, delete, and update. And these are the super users of this. And permissions are divided into overall credentials, agent, job, run, view, and SCM in Jenkins, which have different tasks like credentials, update and delete, and agent can be created, delete, and jobs can be deleted, create, configured, cancel. So according to this, whatever permission we provide to the user, these tasks can be performed by the user simultaneously. Now, one of the prerequisite to complete this task will be installing Java and Git. I have already installed Git and Java in my PC, and you can also install Git in your PC from by just typing Git download in on Google, and this website like gitscm.com will be popped out, and when you click on the Windows version, it will start downloading. You can download according to your architecture. You can download the setup for Git Bash. And for Java, I have already installed Java, which can be verified by Java dash version, and I have Java OpenJDK 11 installed on my PC. So in my project, I have also used Maven, which is a build automation tool which primarily focuses on automating all the stuff build automation. It provides basically build automation for Java projects. And I have also installed Maven in my PC, which can be verified by mvn a dash version command. And here we go, we get Apache Maven 3.8.4. And you can also install Maven by just typing Maven download. You can go on this website for Apache, and you can just download. It also gives system requirements like what JDK version, what memory, disk, and operating systems you need to have. And accordingly, you can download the zip file and then unpack it on your C drive. Can be verified by looking at the environment variables. Like I have created Java home, this Maven home, and also I have put it up in the path say of the system variables. Like here I have OpenJDK and Apache Maven slash bin. So these are the prerequisites of doing this project. So let us understand what Jenkins basically does. Like if you have linked your project with your SCM, then whenever you push a commit on your main repo or on your central repository, Jenkins automatically it senses if you have installed the Git plugin, obviously, then it senses that there has been like it triggers the build on its server, and yeah, the build is stored on the Jenkins path. Now let me show you where all the Jenkins projects are stored. We go inside users, and on your user then there will be a .jenkins folder, and here you go to the workspace. So these all are the projects that I have already built using Jenkins. So Jenkins stores all the projects that it has built in the workspace folder inside the .jenkins folder, and here are all the projects like build release and calculator and Jenkins Tomcat. So I had created a project web app. So here all the files of the web app are stored, the pom.xaml Jenkins file. Now let me show you what is inside the Jenkins file. So the Jenkins file, it consists of the Jenkins pipeline, and first it specifies the agent, and the agent is on which your project will run. So agent are the slave nodes. I have labeled it master. So whichever node will be labeled master, this project will be executed on that. So there are stages and there are substages. So there are four substages in my project. One is build, one is sonar report, one is test, and one is deploy. So the stages can also have substages. So first, like it will run ambient test, and then it will then it will store the JUnit reports in the surfire reports.xaml. So this is all about where the project is stored. Now we can see that Jenkins creates cache if there are subsequent builds. So it does not it does not execute all the processes again, and it just supports incremental builds. So there will be secrets, and the secrets folder you can get the initial admin password. So when the first time you install Jenkins, you will be asked to put up a password, and that password is initial admin password. So you just copy it down from here and then change the password. There are jobs. There's a jobs folder. It is the root directory for all the jobs. Then there is a logs folder. The Jenkins stores all its logs related to all the projects here, like the slave nodes. A slave nodes log is stored here, and it is like first it has opened SSH connection, and then the SSH host key. So like basically it notes down all the logs inside this folder. There are fingerprints if there are any fingerprint records. There are plugins. There is a plugins directory for all the plugins that you install. It creates a subfolder, and all the plugins that I have installed in my Jenkins already will be installed here. There is a users folder. The users folder consists of all the users that I have created. Like I've just shown, like I've given admin rights to admin at div user. So these are my users stored here. So let's create our first freestyle project. The first project, so we can put up a name and we'll choose a freestyle project. So inside this, like it is just a basic project to show. So I'll add up a build step, and I'll execute shell command. So I'll just check inside this the Java version, the Git version. I'll save it, and then I'll click on build now. So now the Jenkins it starts the build automation, And here we can see we'll click on the first build and we'll see the console output. There was a small mistake from my side, so we have to choose the execute Windows patch command because we are running it on a Windows PC. Earlier I have chosen the uh, execute shell command, so it executes the .sh file, but which is not valid on the Windows. So now I'll build. As we can see, like my first build has failed, so it shows that the build has failed. Now I'll try and build again. So as we can see, like my build is successful, and it has, like, first it has executed the java dash version command, and it shows like openjdk is installed. And as we can see, like it also shows that openjdk 11 is installed, and this shows that this is running on the master. So now it executes the dir command, which gives the volume label in drive C. So we can also set up a post build action, like whenever like I'm a developer and I have pushed a big project for build. So whenever the build is successful, I want that all the people in my organization should get an email. So we can set up a post build action. So we'll go to manage Jenkins and we'll go to configure system. And now we go inside the email notification tab and we go on advanced. And so like I have a Gmail ID, so I'll type smtp.gmail.com and the suffix is @gmail.com. Here's the ID and password of the account from which I want to send email. This is the SMTP port which is provided by Gmail. And so I'll try to show the mail. So test configuration. So as we can see, the email here shows it was successfully sent, and so I've received this mail from Jenkins. So this is a post-build action, which proves to be very useful for big organizations. Like whenever a build is broken or whenever there is a problem with the project, the email is sent out to everyone in the organization. So next is the master-slave architecture of Jenkins. So as I have told before, that the master node, it executes the build commands, and the slave, there can be multiple slave or they can be just one slave depending on the size of the project. And if the size of the project is very large, so we can use multiple slave nodes and we can create a distributed build. So basically slave node, it executes and returns back the output to the master branch. So I have created I've used Windows as the master, and I have used Ubuntu as my slave node. So before proceeding with the process, like we have to configure our Ubuntu virtual machine, and in the network, then we have to go to adapter 2 and choose NAT option, and then we have to click on port forwarding, and here we type the IP address of our virtual machine, and here we type the IP address of our master, and the guest port is 22 and the host port is 2200 TCP protocol. So basically we are enabling SSH here so that our master can communicate with the slave easily. So I have started my slave node. So as you can see, I have run ifconfig here, and the IP address of my slave node is 192.168.156.101. So, and I'll also fire up my Windows terminal. Here I'll be typing ipconfig, and here I can see that my IP address of my master is 192.168.56.1. So basically here what I have so the settings that I have told before for network, so I have just put in the IP address of my slave and master in the guest and host IP respectively. So now I'll try to ping from master to slave. Ping 192.168.56.101. So as you can see that there is 0% loss, so the master is communicating with slave. Now I'll check the same for my Ubuntu machine as well. Ping 192.168.56.1. So now I'll check like whether I can connect to my slave node using SSH. So I'll type SSH and div is my username at the rate 192, the IP address of the slave node 192.168.56.101. So so as I can see, like I've connected successfully to my virtual box, and to verify it I can write ls minus l, so it shows me all the files that are like the docker compose.yaml file which is created here. Now to exit the connection I'll type just exit. So now my master and slave are both communicating with each other, so we can carry on and execute our build. So the project that I have chosen for my build and release pipeline, it is a web app created in Java, and here are tests. So basically it uses JUnit to execute unit tests, and it checks the small functionalities of the app. And here is the pom.xaml file, which is basically the project object model, and it specifies all the dependencies, plugins, and properties of the project. So the file which is of a main concern is the Jenkins file, which I already explained. Like it is a pipeline, it consists of stages and substages, and like I have stage, build, sonar, test, report, and test. So let's create our slave node. So first we'll go to manage Jenkins, then we'll go to manage nodes and clouds, then we'll click on slave. I've already created the slave node, and I'll walk through the steps. So this is the name, description, number of executors, and the root directory of my slave, which is /home/Jenkins. The label, it is Ubuntu label, is one of the most important part of the node, because this label is used in our Jenkins file to specify on which node to run our project. So I have chosen to launch my agent by SSH. This is the IP address of my slave node. This is the credential, and it is used a manual trusted key verification strategy. Save. So I have clicked on bring this node online. I go to script console, and I have typed java minus version. So this is the logs of my node. So this is launcher. This is the ID IP address of my slave node. This is the port 22, which means it is launching via SSH. And so as you can see, the authentication is successful as the SSH host key matches previously. So what happens when we use the SSH? So this protocol, it saves the SSH key of a host for the first, when we log in the first time, so that we do not have to use the password again and again. It stores, so in Windows it stores in known hosts known in the file named as known hosts, and in Linux it uses a file named as authorized keys. So as we can see, our agent is successfully online and it is also connected. So now let's go and see our slave node in action. So I'll click on new item, and then I'll choose a random name for my project. I'll choose freestyle project, and then here I'll use restrict where this project can be run. So here our label comes in handy. So I'll type Ubuntu. It already has given an autofill. So Ubuntu matches one node, and so our Ubuntu node is online, and it shows that it is matching. So so again, I'll be using a build step, and this time instead of using a Windows batch command, because our slave node is a Linux based system, so I'll be using execute shell command, and here I'll type ifconfig, and I'll save. So now I'll be clicking on build now, and we'll see that our build has started, and it has also completed because it was just a shell command. So so showing that started by user admin. So admin is my user from which I'm executing, and it is building remotely on slave. So this is my slave node Ubuntu inside the workspace slash home slash Jenkins and slash workspace. In the second is the name of the project. So here it just executes one command, which is ifconfig, and it shows me all the network configuration of my slave node. It shows me the broadcast address, inet address, and the IP address of my slave node, which is 192.168.56.101, and it shows a build finish success. So as I have told earlier that Jenkins uses a Git plugin. So now we'll see how we configure the Git plugin. So we'll go to manage Jenkins, then we go to configure system. So inside the global tool configuration, we see a Git column, and inside this pass to executable will be Git, as we have already installed Git inside a slave node, and the name will be default. So it installs, so it gives us a second option also, which installs automatically, in which we have to add an installer or run a shell command in order to install Git on the slave node. But as we have already installed Git in our slave node, so there will be no need. You can just verify it. So when I have typed Git, it gives me a man page of Git. So this means that Git is already installed in our slave node. So we can also put up the SSH key, in order to connect to GitHub without entering the username password every time. We generate an SSH key from our slave node, and we enter it inside the GitHub's SPG keys. So here we go to this, we go to our GitHub page, and then we go to settings, and inside we go to the SSH and GPG keys, and here we see that I have already added my VirtualBox SSH key generation inside a Git. So it does not ask me for my Git username and password every time. Like, it has already stored my credentials of my VirtualBox, and it knows that it is a credible source, so it allows it to access my repositories. So the Java project that I am using for my project is this web app. It consists of a source folder, and inside this there are two folders, main and test. Main contains the main classes and the Java files for the which are used to run the project. And there was a test folder, and in test we use like this project uses JUnit. It is a dependency in order to run unit tests and test the small components of the code. So here is a before class annotation, such that this function it runs before when a test is executed, and this after class annotation, so this function runs automatically after each test is executed, and this is the main test command, test annotation. So this will be the main test function, like it will be executed and the results will be given on the basis of it. So this repository, it consists of these 5 branches: develop, circle, CI, feature, master, and origin. So the concept of branches in Git is like we can have different versions of the same project running simultaneously, like different teams in an organization, they can be working on a project. So Git provides us with the feature of branching in order like we can simultaneously have different versions. So develop will be having different code feature, master and origin. So these all will be having different codes. So my default branch for this project is develop, and all the changes that are there on different branches, it is merged into a develop branch. So it also gives us an option of fork. So fork is a copy of repository. Forking a repository allows us to freely experiment with changes without affecting the normal project. Also, forks are used for the purpose to change someone else's project and not like changing their project directly. So we can also go through the settings of this project. So I've created this project single-handedly, so there are no collaborators, but we can also add collaborators. Like we can click on add people, and then we can type the username and it will send an email and you have to accept in order to become a collaborator. So by default branch is develop, I have already told before. So there are branch protection rules before like there are many rules if you don't want like people to just come up and make pull requests randomly, so you can choose some options like require a pull request before merging. No one can just merge your code, so it requires a pull request first, requires status checks, requires signed commits, linear history, include administrators. And so these are all the branch protection rules. They provide an extra layer of credibility to a project. So in Git, I can explain. So let me navigate to my project. So my project web app, and here I'll be opening terminal. So in order to list all the branches, there is a command git branch. So it shows me that there are two branches, git develop and origin. So if I need to be in sync with my central repository, so I'll write git origin. So to list the remote, there is a command git remote -v. So in order to pull upstream origin. So these are the remotes. So these can be used to push or fetch code to the central repository. So if I can add my code to the staging area, then I can put up git commit. So I have to put up a commit message, and then I can git push origin and the name of my branch from which I want to push. So let us start and create a new pipeline. So we go to new item. Here I choose a random name, a pipeline. So this is a pipeline. I click on OK. So it is a GitHub project. So I'll upload my project URL, copy, and I'll paste my repo link here. And then I'll click on pull SCM. And here this is the time after which it will keep on searching, and if there is a new build, it will automatically start the process of build automation. So here I will be using pipeline script from SCM. So it will be Jenkins file, and I'll save it. So now I will be starting my build process of my pipelines. And before I start the build, as in the Jenkins file, I have also put up a stage of Sonar report. So first I'll start my Sonar cube. So Sonar cube is a tool which is used to create a static code analysis report of the project. So I'll go to my SonarCube folder in the bin Windows, and then I'll start my terminal and type start sonar, and this will start my SonarCube on port localhost 9000. So to see that, I'll verify on localhost 9000 that my SonarCube is running. So as we can see, like my SonarCube is running here. So now I'll start my build automation from by clicking build now, and then I'll click on the build number, and then I'll go on console output to see what all steps are being followed here. So as you can see that it has fetched the latest commit from my Git repository using the Git plugin. Then it is running the first stage, which is the build stage, mvn script test clean package. Then it is downloading all the dependencies. It is downloading all the dependencies that are specified in the pom.xaml of the project, and my SonarCube is also running in the background. So basically it is performing different stages as I have specified in my Jenkins file. So the dependency reduce POM is written in the Jenkins workspace and the web app. So we'll see shortly by going into this route, and we'll see that our web app has been built in this route. So the build success is given. So the first stage has been completed. Now it will be generating the Sonar report. So the localhost 9000, it has started developing the report, and shortly it will also give us the link of the deployed SonarCube report. So now it has started another phase as my previous state was completed. Now it is running ambient tests, and all the tests are successful. So the pipeline is completed and it gives us a success. So my pipeline is complete, and my project, as I have said, in the C drive, in users, in my users, and I'll go to the Jenkins, and I'll go to the workspace, and I can see that my web app has been created on 18th May, and this is the target folder, and all the reports that I was talking about, the Certifier report, SonarCube report, it has all been generated, and we can get access from here. It has also generated a jar file, which is the ultimate output of my web app. So my build process is complete, and I can visit my web app now, and I can see that my build is completed, all the processes. It also gives the time in which the test SonarCube build and the declarative checkout from SCM has been completed. So this is the Blue Ocean terminal, and it gives basically an interactive version of making our CI/CD pipeline. So I've just run the process, but as I click on this, and now we can see that it is waiting for run to start, and the build process is complete. Now it is moving on to the SonarCube phase, and it is executed this file, and we can see that the localhost 9000, and it is generating a SonarCube report. So basically it is just an interactive version. It does all the same task. It automates our build, but it is an interactive version. So the next part of our project is understanding about Nexus. So Nexus is a global artifactory in which, like in big organizations, like we can so Nexus is basically a global artifactory in which we are in an organization, and internally there are many teams. So if a team has created an artifact and it is to be used to by another team, so we use Nexus in order to deploy our artifact in a like in a um, within an organization, and it can be used by people in the same organization. So Nexus trial period has been expired, because it only gives a 1 month uh, free trial of Nexus. So it will not be able to show the implementation of Nexus, but here is the bin folder of Nexus, and we run the nexus.bat file, and In our pom.xaml file inside the project, we have to include a repository tag inside the distribution repository tag and a distribution management. So in distribution management, we give the ID of like what will be the ID of our organization, what is the name of the project, and the URL in which we have to deploy our project. So this is all about Nexus. So next comes SonarQube. SonarQube, I've already told that it is a tool which is used to give the static code analysis of a project. So here I have in the C drive I have installed SonarQube, and inside the bin folder there is a Windows folder. And when we have to start a SonarQube, we just type start sonar.bat, and there is a script file which automatically invokes SonarQube, and SonarQube runs on port 9000. And here it is, and it shows me that I have already like analyzed three projects. These are the projects: init, calculator, and Java. So these had nine code spells and zero bugs. It has two bugs and zero vulnerabilities. It gives code coverage, duplications, and all the other metrics about my project. So in my web app that I have just built right now, in if I'll go to my console, I'll see that my SonarCube report had been installed. So this is the link of my report. So I'll just click on it, and I am redirected to my SonarCube report. It gives 35 lines of code, zero vulnerabilities, and zero bugs. It has 76.5% code coverage, so which is a good metric. So I have instructed my Jenkins file to have a stage like Sonar report, and where I have run the Maven clean install, and this is the Sonar Cube extension which tells that in localhost 9000 it and the analysis mode is published. So it basically publishes my static code analysis to the Sonar Cube. So this is all about Sonar Cube. So we can use our Jenkins as a continuous integration server. It's a three-part process. Like first we have to maintain a single source repository, then we have to automate our build, and then everyone commits to the mainline every day. So in a single source repository, like if we have multiple repositories, there can be a conflict of versions between the same team in the same organization, so which is a thing we do not want. And we automate our build using script files and all the automation tools, which helps to reduce redundancy within an organization, and it also speeds up the process. So now comes the final task of deploying the application to a staging or a production environment. So I'll be using a slave node of Ubuntu with Java installed on it, and the node tag is Ubuntu. So I have created a deployment.sh script file, which basically what it does, it goes to my Jenkins home directory and pulls up my target of the web app, and it takes Java web app and it installs, and it first copies it on my slave node, that which is the deployment server, and then it executes it. So I'll be adding another stage, which is the deploy. So I'll type stage deploy and steps, and which will run. So as I have created so I'll be creating a stage which is deployment. So now I have created my stage which is deploy, and in these steps I'll be executing my deployment.bat file, which is present inside here inside my root directory. And now I'll be pushing my code onto the GitHub. So I have successfully pushed my code, and then I'll be starting another build. So now I have run my
build process after including the deploy in my Jenkins file. So as you can see, my build is successful. All the steps until ambient tests are similar, but after that, I included the deploy stage, and you can see that the Spark package it has started and it has deployed my application, and it is also set the username as it, which is administrator, and it gives a final success. So let me refresh this page, and we can see that the web app is deployed on the IP address of the same machine and the port 999 is specified in the project. So this shows that they are deployed on the production environment, and this is all. And we can also verify as you can move back to a project, and we can see that all my stages are complete and it shows the time respectively. And we can also go to our slave node, and as I go inside the staging folder, and then I list, we can see that my Java web app is uploaded on my staging on my deployment server, and hence the deployment is complete. So in the next section, we'll see how to manually install plugins in Jenkins. So first we go to manage Jenkins, and then we'll go to manage plugins, and then we go to advanced. And I have downloaded a package. So I type in my username, which is admin, and my password. So I choose a plugin file, which is the .hk file, and this is the name S42 current security audit. It is name of the package or plugin. So I'll upload the code, and this uploads my package onto the Jenkins server, and we also verify it, as then go to the C drive in users and Jenkins in the plugins folder. We should see, yes, my plugin which is successfully installed. So it shows that my plugin is also already installed and it needs to restart to take effect. And you know that Jenkins always requires some space around to execute build jobs and archive at the same time. As you've seen that this is a Jenkins home, and it requires some space in order to work efficiently. It stores nodes, logs, jobs, and plugins, etc. So we can also create a backup and restore functionality in our Jenkins. So we go to manage Jenkins, and then we go to manage plugins. And then I search Chain Backup, and I've already installed a package plugin known as Chain Backup. So what it does, it just acts as a backup functionality, and we can go towards settings, and we can see that I have set up a folder in my D drive, which is of the name backup, and I have installed a cron job, like it will be like scheduling backups in the time intervals, this time intervals, and other backup. And it also reads for the case where it is ideal to perform the backup, and the force in case of void mode after specified minutes it's set to 120 by default. So after this, when I restart my Jenkins, we'll see that the plugin is successfully installed. From one page, I can click on Jenkins link, and the next page you can see that this package is installed. Thank you, and this was my submission for the continuous integration and deployment of pipeline using Jenkins.